The phone rang, its shrill tone cutting through the ambient noise of the bustling McDonald's in Mount Washington, Kentucky. It was a typical day, with customers lining up for their meals and employees working diligently behind the counter. The sudden ring of the phone, however, was about to shatter this normalcy. On the other end of the line, a man claiming to be a police officer issued a chilling command to Assistant Manager Donna Summers. His voice was calm yet authoritative, leaving no room for doubt. He accused a young employee, Louise Ogburn, of theft. Louise, who was just trying to get through her shift, suddenly found herself at the center of a terrifying situation. The voice on the other end was insistent and commanding, directing Summers to conduct a strip search of Louise. The caller's tone left no room for hesitation, and Summers felt compelled to comply. This was the beginning of a nightmare for Louise, an innocent victim caught in a web of deception and humiliation. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. Summers, swayed by the caller's convincing impersonation of authority, complied with the instructions. She believed she was following orders from a legitimate law enforcement officer. With a heavy heart and a mind clouded by fear and confusion, she led Louise into a back room. The atmosphere was tense, and Summers' heart pounded as she tried to make sense of the situation. Louise, a teenager at the time, found herself at the mercy of a stranger's voice. She was stripped of her dignity and subjected to a degrading and invasive search, all based on a lie. The incident left her emotionally scarred, haunted by the memory of that horrific day. The trauma she experienced would stay with her for years to come. This wasn't an isolated incident. Similar calls plagued fast food restaurants across the United States, each one a chilling echo of the same cruel prank. The perpetrators targeted various establishments, exploiting the trust and authority dynamics within these workplaces. Each call followed a similar pattern, leading to numerous victims. But this was no laughing matter. The psychological impact on the victims was profound, leaving them with deep emotional wounds that would take a long time to heal. The perpetrators, hiding behind the veil of anonymity, inflicted lasting trauma on their victims. They exploited the victims' trust and left them feeling violated and powerless. The McDonald's strip search hoax was a horrifying example of how vulnerability could be exploited. It left behind a trail of shattered lives, each story a testament to the cruelty of those who perpetrated these acts. The motives behind the caller's actions remain a subject of analysis. Was it a twisted sense of power, a desire to manipulate, or a deeper psychological issue? The answers are as elusive as the caller's identity. What is clear, however, is the devastating impact on the victims. The psychological stress they endured was immense, leaving scars that would take a lifetime to heal. The caller's modus operandi was disturbingly consistent. He had a methodical approach that he followed with chilling precision. He would often target fast food restaurants, posing as a law enforcement officer investigating a theft. These establishments, often bustling with young, inexperienced staff, were his prime hunting grounds. His voice, calm and authoritative, easily lent itself to the charade. He spoke with a confidence that made his lies seem like undeniable truths. With each call, he spun a narrative, accusing an employee, usually a young woman, of stealing from a customer. The accusations were always detailed, making them seem all the more believable. His words were carefully chosen, preying on the victim's fear of authority and their desire to cooperate. He knew exactly how to manipulate their emotions, creating a sense of urgency and panic. He would then manipulate the situation, using psychological tactics to coerce the managers into conducting strip searches. The managers, caught off guard and wanting to comply with what they believed were legitimate orders, often followed through. He would claim to be working with the company's corporate office, adding another layer of authenticity to his facade. This claim made it even harder for the employees to question his authority. The victims, trapped in a situation they didn't understand, were left with no one to turn to for help. They were isolated, confused, and terrified, unsure of what was happening or why. They were at the mercy of a predator who knew exactly how to exploit their vulnerability. His cruel deception left a trail of trauma and confusion, with victims struggling to make sense of the ordeal long after it was over. The psychological stress inflicted on the victims was immense. They were subjected to intense fear, humiliation, and a profound sense of helplessness. The caller's motives seemed to stem from a desire for power and control, deriving satisfaction from the chaos and distress he caused. Understanding the caller's actions requires delving into the mind of a manipulative predator. His actions were not just about the immediate deception, but about the long-lasting psychological scars he left on his victims. The trauma endured by these individuals is a testament to the devastating impact of his cruel games. The calls weren't confined to Mount Washington. They began to spread like wildfire, reaching far beyond the initial epicenter. Like a virus, the hoax spread across state lines, infecting communities and instilling fear wherever it went, leaving a trail of victims in its wake. Each new incident added to the growing sense of dread and helplessness. From Florida to Maine, fast food restaurants became unwitting stages for this perverse game of power and control. The perpetrators targeted these establishments knowing they were vulnerable. Each incident bore the same chilling hallmarks: the convincing impersonation, the fabricated allegations, and the ultimate act of humiliation. Employees were manipulated into performing degrading acts, believing they were following orders from law enforcement. One case involved a young manager in Idaho who was coerced into performing a strip search on a teenage employee. The manager, under immense pressure, complied, thinking it was a legitimate request. The incident, captured on the restaurant's security cameras, shocked the nation. The footage revealed the extent of the caller's manipulative power and the vulnerability of the employees. The video footage, a chilling testament to the caller's manipulative power, became a symbol of the widespread vulnerability of these workers. It was a stark reminder of how easily trust could be exploited. It highlighted the urgent need for awareness and training to prevent such incidents from happening again. Employers began to realize the importance of educating their staff on how to recognize and respond to such threats. The psychological stress experienced by the victims was immense. Many were left traumatized, questioning their own judgment and feeling violated. Analyzing the motives behind the caller's actions reveals a disturbing desire for control and domination. The caller thrived on the power to manipulate and degrade others, exploiting their trust and authority. Experts suggest that such individuals derive a perverse satisfaction from the psychological torment they inflict, highlighting the need for robust psychological profiling and preventive measures. As the calls continued, the psychological stress on the victims mounted, leaving them traumatized and fearful. The FBI joined the investigation, their resources and expertise brought to bear on this elusive predator. The investigation was painstaking, involving the analysis of thousands of phone records, witness testimonies, and behavioral patterns. A breakthrough came when investigators identified a pattern in the calls. The caller often targeted restaurants located near payphones, using them to mask his real location. This crucial clue led investigators to focus their search on areas with a high concentration of payphones. The caller's motives seemed rooted in a desire to exert control and instill fear, exploiting the vulnerability of his victims. The relentless pursuit of justice finally yielded results. In 2004, after years of investigation, authorities arrested David Stewart, a Florida prison security guard, for his role in the hoax. His arrest sent shockwaves across the nation as people grappled with the realization that the man behind the phone calls was not some faceless monster, but an ordinary-looking man living a seemingly normal life. Stewart's trial was a media spectacle, with victims recounting their harrowing experiences. The psychological stress experienced by the victims was immense, leaving lasting scars. Experts dissected the psychological manipulation at play, analyzing how Stewart exploited trust and authority. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including phone records, witness testimonies, and even DNA evidence linking him to some of the calls. The jury found Stewart guilty on multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. But the question remained, what drove him to commit such heinous acts? The motives behind the caller's actions were complex, rooted in a disturbing desire for control and manipulation. While Stewart's conviction brought a sense of closure, the victims were left to grapple with the psychological scars of their ordeal. Many struggled to cope with the trauma, haunted by feelings of shame, humiliation, and vulnerability. Some turned to therapy, seeking solace and healing in the aftermath of the abuse. The emotional toll of the hoax was immeasurable. Victims spoke of nightmares, flashbacks, and a pervasive sense of fear and mistrust. Some quit their jobs, unable to face the memories associated with the restaurants. Others struggled to form healthy relationships, their ability to trust irrevocably damaged. The caller's motives remain a chilling mystery. Was it a desire for power, control, or simply a cruel game? The psychological impact on the victims was profound, leaving them to question the very nature of human cruelty. The McDonald's strip search hoax left deep psychological scars on the victims, sparking a national conversation about workplace safety and the abuse of power. The victims experienced immense stress and trauma, highlighting the vulnerability of employees in the service industry. Lawmakers responded by introducing legislation to criminalize hoax emergency calls that result in harm or injury. The case also highlighted the need for better training and awareness programs to educate employees about their rights and how to respond to suspicious calls. Companies implemented stricter protocols, emphasizing the importance of verifying information and seeking confirmation from higher-ups before taking any action. The motives behind the caller's actions remain a subject of analysis, with experts suggesting a mix of power, control, and a desire to manipulate. Despite the arrest and conviction of David Stewart, questions lingered about the case. Investigators believe that Stewart did not act alone, suspecting the involvement of others who were never caught. The psychological stress experienced by the victims was immense, leaving lasting scars that many still grapple with today. The motives behind the caller's actions remain a subject of intense analysis, with theories ranging from a desire for power to deep-seated psychological issues. The unanswered questions serve as a chilling reminder that even in the face of justice, the victims may never fully escape the shadow of the hoax. The search for truth and accountability continues, driven by the hope that one day all those responsible will be brought to justice. The McDonald's strip search hoax is a stark reminder of the psychological stress experienced by the victims, highlighting the importance of vigilance and critical thinking. The caller's actions were driven by a desire to exert control and manipulate, exploiting the power imbalance to create a sense of helplessness and fear. The devastating impact of such manipulation and abuse is profound. The victims' stories serve as a call to action, urging us to remain vigilant, to educate ourselves and others about the dangers of social engineering scams, and to stand united against those who seek to exploit and harm the innocent. By remembering their stories, we honor their resilience and work towards a future where such horrifying incidents are never repeated.